Hitler came to when he attacked, when he took the Tsar from the French. So we expect something goes on. And then he took the Sudeten land from Czechoslovakia. And then Chamberlain was that time the prime minister. And once after the Sudeten, so he came back, Chamberlain, he landed with a plane and with a paper. He showed, I have peace with Germany. No more. And in no time, they grabbed the whole Czechoslovakia. In Czechoslovakia at that time, they had 3,000 planes, fighting planes. And somehow England, France, they didn't want to go. They were very against the Soviet Union at that time. So they'll rather let it go to appease Hitler than to go together with the Soviet Union. That time, if they would, in my opinion, people's opinion that time was, if the Soviet Union, Czechoslovakia, if they would be together against Hitler, he wouldn't have such an easy victory. In the beginning, yes, he was going with no stop. So people expected bad things, but during a war, you expect bad things, but not to such extent. So, we as youngsters, we were with the Germans till November. And we decided, about 2.5 months, almost 3 months, we decided, because we went to work. The roads, what they bombed, the planes they bombed, so they took the people, the men, in to go to work, to fix the roads. So, yeah, when the Germans came in, the first thing they gave, every day was a different order. We have to bring in pillows, we have to bring in sheets, and whatever we could, we had to bring in and give. And this was Yom Kippur Day. Yom Kippur, you know. Yom Kippur Day, the SS came into town. So my father, we were expecting, when the Germans, they were expecting, the Jews, they went to Yom Kippur, the holiest day. So my father told me, if the Germans will come to town, they expect, every day they expect something bad. If they'll come to town, come to me, don't make a panic in the shul, and we'll go the back way. We leave, we go home. And that's a rainy day. And they took out one man, one of the leaders from town. Heinrich was his name. And they let him stand in a puddle. And this says, and they say, and they were talking to him. I looked through the window. And what happened? They found, when the Polish army passed town, they killed one German, a Volksdeutsch. The German lived in Poland. They killed him and they buried him in his backyard. So this was such a crime. So they took him out and they went to the shul and took out they had another Orthodox temple, a smaller temple. They took out all the Jews with the talisim, and they made them dig out that German, what was buried there, by hand. They had to dig out the dirt by hand. They put on a wagon, not with a horse. And the people were the horses. And they made them bury that man. They had to bring him to the cemetery. So it was a terrible day and we had one German woman, a native. She was in Poland. She was very nice. And he saved that man's life. She went to the office there, to the German's office, and she put it as a German, you know. She had influence. Okay, and then like we saw it's very bad. It's very.
Was this 1939? This was the very
1939,
beginning?
yes.
Okay.
This was very few days, a few days, Yom Kippur. And we had to go to work every day. To spare my father, he shouldn't go to work. So my younger brother and I, we went every day to work, to fix the work. And after work, so in that time, the last day we went to work, this was already in November. The last day we went to work. So two young kids, one Obachinsky, and another young child, like 15, 16-year-old. They had to go to the bathroom. So they went to the field, he was in the field, a little bit farther away. So the German thought, the guard, he thought that they're sitting there too long. So he took the rifle and he started emptying shooting them. But whether deliberately he didn't want to kill them, or he missed. And when they came back, so we started to scream at them, "Hey, come back, hurry up, what's take you so long?" And they came back, so they started, two Germans, they started to hit these two kids. Right away, the faces swell up. And one older boy said, Herr Deutsch, he gave me a title yet, like sir. He is just a child, right? So he turned around the rifle and hit him. It was so depressing. So we decided, my cousin Michael, and another elder cousin, Chaplinsky, I don't know if you heard of the name, Chaplinsky, is also a cousin, and another friend of ours, we decided we'll take off, we'll go to the other side of Poland, and we know that Poland is divided, half is Russia, so it wasn't far, it was maybe 200, 150 or 200 miles away. So we decided we'll take the train, we'll go through Warsaw and we'll go there. So, and that's what happened. We started off by foot. Before we went to the rabbi for blessing. And my father said goodbye to me. He said he had a suspicion that my older brother was killed by the Germans. One son, the Germans killed, the other son, I said, to be killed also. And that's how we got to Warsaw. We stopped over at the Prensky also. And they were also in a very frightful atmosphere there. And from there we took the train. It was a curfew. We stepped in a demolished building. And from there we took the train to Malkin, a small town, a border town, with that time the border between the Russian zone and the German zone. When we came there, a neutral zone, maybe a half a mile long and wide. And we came over there with 10,000 people waiting the Russians should let us in. They were waiting. It was almost end of November. It was cold, wet snow a little bit, rain, and we slept on the ground. And the farmers, they brought over food. And we bought whatever we could. We bought something to eat. And then later, on the third day, the Russians opened the borders
Mhm.
and we could go in. So we went in, and from there we went to Yalst. We slept 30 people in one room on the floor. In the middle of the night you had to go out, say to crawl over.
Mm.
Yeah, we were packed like sardines. And then we found another place, another family, and we rented a bench for 2 zlotys. 2 zlotys, that time like 40 cents a bench for the night, to sleep over on the bench. You had to be careful not to fall down from the bench, yes. And little by little we stayed in line in the first thing in the morning for a piece of bread. We still had my father sewed in my jacket, like 100, it was that time, I think 150 zlotys. It was still there for a few days. When I left, I remember a half a kilo, a pound and a half sugar in a loaf of bread. That's what we had on ours, on the clothes. And little by little, we rented a room. We looked around, and we see that the Russians, whatever they saw, the soldiers, they wanted to buy. So we started looking around, and we met you have it on the pictures here, the Mliniks,
Yes, yeah.
his son, their son we met. His parents came also over, and he was going, Ben, their son, he went back and forth to Poland. He looked like a Polak, and he smoked in, and he had a source of zippers and fountain pens. And we went out, we had already a room, we rented a room, Polish family. And we went out to the market with a little suitcase of zippers and pens. We came home with the same with money. The Russians, whatever they bought everything. So we stayed in that, by this family, we stayed in the room, and then the son brought over the parents also, and the sister. I don't know whether you remember the sister, Veronica, no?
No.
Veronica Ben.
No.
We brought them over. And we stayed there, we stayed in Bialystok for about 6 months. And after being there for about 4 or 5 months, they had a registration, the Russians. Who wants to stay will have to move in deeper Russia, not near the border. And if not, you have to go back to the other side of Poland, where the Germans are. So, from the parents, we heard that if you stay in Russia, nobody could get out from Russia those years, this before the war. So we registered, we want to go back home.
Right.
Fortunately, the Germans wouldn't let us in. They let in one transport, and no more. So we stayed another couple months, and they start to catch up. People, they recognized the people from the other side, the Russians, and send them away. We didn't know where to send them, but we saw it. And we survived that. And after the labor camp, when Hitler attacked, June 22nd, 1941, Hitler attacked Russia. So they freed, they let go all the prisoners to fight the Germans. Okay, from there we registered to go to the hottest spot in the country, Uzbekistan, Bukhara.
Yes.
And when they let us go already, so they came to us and says, we'll give you good conditions, just stay. We'll pay you a lot of money, just stay and work in the woods. So that's it.
Enough.
That's enough. So we went down to Bukhara. went down. In Maico, it took us 2 weeks or more, or 3 weeks to get there. We stopped in the meantime in different cities, Sverdlovsk, Chelyabinsk, you heard of these cities? The industrial cities, everything on the ground. And we worked for the military. So they gave us food to eat, and they gave us yet some potatoes to take. And that's how we worked our way